Our Bloomberg Markets Live team and Bloomberg customers can get more from Creedy and the rest of the folks at MLive. Just type MLIV GO on the Bloomberg terminal. Futures moving higher on this Friday morning. S&P futures up 8 points. Dow futures gaining 78. NASDAQ futures up by 33 points. 10-year Treasury yield 1.81%. You're listening to Bloomberg Daybreak.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Court-appointed mediator Ken Feinberg says Bayer may be weeks away from settling more than 75,000 cancer claims over its Roundup weed killer. Feinberg said in an interview that he remains cautiously optimistic a deal will be reached in about a month, but did not discuss terms. Google's parent Alphabet has joined the $1 trillion club on Wall Street as the stock closed above a $1 trillion valuation for the first time. Other U.S. members of this exclusive club are Apple and Microsoft. Stocks are at record highs today, with Dow futures pointing to more gains at the open. They're up 74 points. NASDAQ futures up 34. S&P futures are up 8. Crude oil up 0.5% at $58.81 a barrel. And JetBlue is taking the lead with one of its latest moves, but the flying public probably won't like it. The airline has added another $5 to its bag check fees, bringing the cost of checking a first bag to $35 and a second to $45. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
Business is constantly evolving. Is your financial printer evolving to keep ahead of the curve? At Command Financial, we are redefining financial printing by providing industry-leading expertise, leveraging technology, and honing processes and best practices. Every day, Command helps SEC registrants, as well as members of their working groups, including securities attorneys and investment bankers, prepare, file, and disseminate regulatory and disclosure documents, such as registration statements, M&A documents, and mutual fund prospectuses and reports. Command provides a full range of services to help you effectively complete your deal, meet your disclosure requirements, and achieve your shareholder communications objectives. Visit our website at commandfinancial.com and learn how we're evolving, not only with the times, but also with your business requirements. Command Financial, redefining financial printing.
Take the helm and ignite your spirit of adventure with a Sunsail holiday. Relax on a skippered yacht from sunny St. Lucia to the nutmeg-scented shores of Grenada, or take charge with a bareboat charter along Dubrovnik's glittering coastline. With up to 20% off selected destinations, now is the time to book your Sunsail adventure. Sunsail. See the world differently.
Welcome to Nuffield Health Battersea, a gym built around you. You get regular health MOTs to create a plan that works for you, with physios and personal trainers on site. You'll find a wide range of equipment and classes, and our expert team will support you to get the most out of your health, fitness, and your membership. Join today to get the rest of the month free. Search Nuffield Health. Specialists in you. 12-month commitments only. Facilities stated are in most gyms. Visit nuffieldhealth.com/terms.
Got big plans for 2020? Capture and share every highlight on a gorgeous iPhone 11 with an ultra-wide camera. In Tesco Mobile's big January sale, you can get the latest iPhone for £40.75 a month with double data. That's a mighty 20 gigs. Go in store or search Tesco Mobile. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Ends 26th of January. Was 10 gigs, now 20 gigs. 36-month credit and rolling monthly usage agreements with Tesco Mobile required. Subject to status. Phase policy applies. See tescomobile.com/terms.
Do you remember when it first started?
Here at Tesco, we're celebrating over 100 years of great value, with even more great prices that take you back. Like a 6-pack of apples from 69p to just 49p. All this week at Tesco.
Selected larger stores subject to availability. Offer ends 20th of January.
Start hearing more of what you want. Upgrade to TuneIn Premium and get over 45 commercial-free music stations, live commercial-free news, and every live NFL, MLB, NBA, and NHL game. Visit TuneIn.com/premium to upgrade.
Did you know your favorite radio stations are in your pocket? Yes, the TuneIn app lets you listen to the same radio stations you pick up on your home or car radio anywhere you want. To see all the stations broadcasting in your area, find the local radio section on the home screen. Keep it local with TuneIn.
Hey, NFL fan, can't watch the game? Can't be there? No biggie. With your TuneIn Premium membership, you already have an all-access pass to every team and every game in the league. Amazing, right?
Steps up, floats it towards at the goal line. It's intercepted.
Listen live as the action unfolds or on demand when you can. Anytime, anywhere, all season long.
Right side, it is caught. It is in for the right side for the touchdown.
Search NFL today.
Live from the Bloomberg Interactive Broker Studio in New York. Bloomberg 1130 to Washington, D.C. Bloomberg 99.1 to Boston. Bloomberg 1061 to San Francisco. Bloomberg 960 to the country. Sirius XM Channel 119 and around the globe. The Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Daybreak.
And it's 6:30 on Wall Street. Good morning. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moscow. We are just about 3 hours away from the opening of U.S. trading. Let's get you up to date on the news you need to know at this hour. Global stocks are gaining after data out of China shows some stability to end the year. The world's second largest economy grew 6% in the fourth quarter, while retail sales, fixed asset investment, and industrial output all beat estimates. We get details from Bloomberg Daybreak Asia anchor Brian Curtis in Hong Kong.
China's economy showed further signs of perking up in December. Industrial production advanced 6.9%. That easily beat a Bloomberg estimate of 5.9%. Retail sales growing 8%, just ahead of an estimate of 7.9%. And fixed asset investment year to date up 5.4%. Now, for all of 2019, 58% of China's growth was down to consumption, with investment at 31% and 11% coming from net exports. In Hong Kong, Brian Curtis, Bloomberg Daybreak.
Thank you, Brian. As the ink dries on the U.S. and China's Phase 1 trade deal, the EU's new trade chief is questioning the agreement. Phil Hogan says the EU may bring a case to the WTO if it determines the deal violates trading rules. The trade commissioner is also looking to boost Europe's relationship with America.
If we go about this in the right way, working together, the mutual benefits can be very significant. But if we fail to do so, the damage will be significant also.
Hogan calls White House tariff threats short-sighted electioneering and says President Trump's America First agenda is creating an international trade crisis.
The Fed is also in focus today. The White House says President Trump plans to nominate Judy Shelton and Christopher Waller to the central bank. The formal announcement now moves the nominations to the Senate.
In the UK, retail sales plunged in December, declining 0.6%, and the pound weakened on the data. Currently, it is trading at 1.3035 against the dollar.
On the corporate front, Gap shares up 5% in early trading. The retailer is scrapping plans to spin off its Old Navy unit. We get more from Bloomberg's Jordan Holman.
Old Navy has kind of slowed down in growth. It looks like the company's saying, hey, we're going to focus on the management side and not do this larger separation.
And the Gap was one of the worst performing stocks in the S&P 500 last year, falling 31%. Now let's get you up to date on how stocks are faring. We check the markets every 15 minutes throughout the trading day on Bloomberg. And S&P futures are up 8 points this morning. Dow futures up 76. NASDAQ futures up 34. The DAX in Germany is up 0.7%. 10-year Treasury down 230 seconds, yield 1.81%. And the yield on the 2-year, 1.55%. NYMEX crude oil is up 0.5% or 31 cents at 58.83 a barrel. And COMEX gold is up 1/3%. Straight ahead, we have the latest world and national news. And this is Bloomberg.
Thanks, Karen. 6:33 on Wall Street. And Michael Barr is here with more on what's going on around the world. Michael?
Thank you very much, Nathan. The impeachment trial of President Donald Trump is opened in the Senate. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says new evidence reinforces the need for senators to call additional witnesses. President Trump again insisted he's done nothing wrong. Trump says last year's phone call with Ukraine's president was a perfect call.
The transcript was perfectly accurate, and now everybody agrees because it went through a lot, and they said, well, could you add one word here? Or lieutenant colonel said, well, I think they should add, they added the word, everyone agrees the transcript is perfecto, done by total professionals.
Senate Democrats say the evidence presented thus far points to wrongdoing by the president when he pressured a foreign government to investigate a political rival. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Do the American people want someone from overseas determining who's their president, who's their governor, who's their senator, who's their congressman? This is what the nation has feared for centuries.
The full trial will begin next Tuesday. There are more accusations from a former associate of Rudy Giuliani. Lev Parnas said that then Energy Secretary Rick Perry told Ukraine's president that he had to announce an investigation into former Vice President Joe Biden. A Richmond Circuit Court judge has upheld the governor's decision to temporarily ban firearms on Virginia Capitol grounds. It is one of the security precautions the state is taking in advance of a gun rights rally on Monday. FBI agents have arrested a former Canadian Armed Forces reservist and 2 other men who authorities say are linked to a violent white supremacist group. The men were believed to be heading to the pro-gun rally in Richmond. About a quarter of the entire homeless population in the U.S. lives in California as the state tries to tackle the crisis. Governor Gavin Newsom met with local officials in Oakland.
We own this issue. It's the issue of our time. The issue of homelessness is a crisis in the state of California. It has happened on our watch, and we need to meet this moment.
The governor says emergency funding is being made available to communities throughout the state to create shelters and convert hotels and motels into permanent housing. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and on Quick Take by Bloomberg, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg, Nathan.
Michael, thanks. It's 6:35 on Wall Street. Time for the Bloomberg NBC Sports Update. Here's John Stashauer.
Nathan, Carlos Beltran's Mets managerial career over before it ever started. The Mets general manager is Brodie Van Wegenen.
Back on November 1st, we officially hired Carlos Beltran to be our new manager. At that time, we were unaware of the Astros situation. Following that report, on Monday, the commissioner's report and findings were released. This morning, Jeff and I again met with Carlos and came to this difficult conclusion. In talking to Carlos, it was clear how challenging it was going to be for him to effectively manage the team going forward.
So Beltran joins A.J. Hinch and Alex Cora, 3 managers in 4 days who lost their jobs due to their involvement in the scandal. Hinch was suspended for a year. Cora was almost certainly going to be. Beltran, a player on the 17 Astros, was not looking at a suspension, but baseball made a point of mentioning him several times in the report. Beltran issued a statement admitting fault and deep regret over his actions. Latest Knicks loss to Phoenix, 121-98. 3 Suns, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and Ricky Rubio combined for 80 points, and the Knicks lost rookie R.J. Barrett to a sprained ankle. League leading Milwaukee beat Boston. The Bucks are 37-6. Rangers beat the Islanders at the Coliseum. A Chris Kreider goal on the power play. Final minute for a 3-2 win for the Blue Shirts, who've now won 4 of 5. Devils lost in Washington 5-2. Odell Beckham went to New Orleans to watch his school LSU win the national championship. After the game, he got in trouble for giving cash to LSU players. Now there's a warrant for Beckham's arrest for simple battery. There's video of him slapping the behind of a security guard. With the Bloomberg NBC Sports Update, I'm John Stashauer. Nathan?
Okay, John, thank you. It is 6:37 on Wall Street, which is gearing up for another full day of economic indicators. Economists forecast today's data will show rising housing starts and falling industrial output. Here with more is Bloomberg's Vinny Del Giudice.
Bloomberg Economics says a warmer than usual December probably helped boost construction. Low mortgage rates have also been a plus. Housing starts posted back-to-back gains in October and November. Turning to industrial production, Bloomberg Economics says the travails of aircraft maker Boeing could weigh on the December data. November output bounced back after the General Motors strike. Also on today's data agenda, job openings in the University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Index. Bloomberg customers can find a full list of economic indicators by typing EcoGo on their Bloomberg terminal. Vinny Del Giudice, Bloomberg Daybreak.
Thanks, Vinny. It's 6:38 on Wall Street.
The following following commentary is from Bloomberg Opinion.
The FDA is sacrificing its standards for speed. I'm Max Neeson, a columnist for Bloomberg Opinion. Today's Food and Drug Administration moves faster than it used to. That may not always be a good thing. A new study from Harvard Medical School found that the FDA is approving drugs faster with weaker evidence. Emphasis on speed and flexibility could be eroding standards. In 1992, Congress created accelerated approval, which can greenlight medicines based on surrogate endpoints like scans or biomarkers that predict rather than confirm patient benefit. It's one of several programs that are contributing to the study's findings. Companies that get accelerated approval are supposed to run a further study to confirm that their drugs work, but often drag their feet as they continue to profit from often costly drugs. There are good reasons for faster approvals. Scientific advances have made it easy to create impactful drugs for small populations, but the FDA arguably hasn't found the right balance between embracing innovation and maintaining a high bar. Upcoming approval decisions, particularly on an Alzheimer's drug that would cost Americans billions even though there's limited evidence that it works, are an opportunity the agency should use to move back towards demanding firmer proof that drugs work before they hit the market. I'm Max Neeson. For more opinion, please go to Bloomberg.com/opinion or OPI on Go on the Bloomberg terminal.
This has been Bloomberg Opinion.
Bloomberg Opinion commentaries can be heard every weekday at this time. Terminal customers can read more at OPIN Go. 6:39 on Wall Street, time for the Bloomberg Small Business Report. Here's John Tucker.
CP Industries is a small Pennsylvania-based business that manufactures high-pressure vessels for the chemical industry and others that make their stuff with stainless steel, a lot of which they have to import. And that steel is still subject to 25% tariffs imposed by the Trump administration. Bloomberg Law's Brian Flood says CP Industries applied for a tariff exemption but was turned down.
CP Industries claim that Customs and Border Protection improperly denied their exclusion request for nearly $750,000 worth of hot-finished stainless steel pipe.
CP is now suing. They claim their exemption was denied because they didn't dot some I's and cross some T's in a mound of paperwork. The case illustrates the multiple hurdles small business still face in the tariff exclusion process. And that's the Bloomberg Small Business Report. I'm John Tucker.
All right, John, thanks. From a small business to a really big one, Facebook. It's being sued. For potential competitors to the social network are accusing it of anti-competitive behavior and asking for CEO Mark Zuckerberg to give up control of his company. This is Bloomberg.
Hey, y'all, Jeff Foxworthy here. Now, if you've ever found yourself repeating the same thing over and over for 75 years, you might be Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
That's why I'm filling in for Smokey to switch things up, because there's a lot more to say. And I should know because my grandfather was a firefighter. And one of the things he taught me is that the people that love the outdoors the most are often the ones accidentally starting wildfires, which means always BYOB. No, bring your own bucket to the campfire. And be extra careful with things like burning yard trimmings. Don't just walk away, or chances are you might be starting a wildfire. So for the love of the outdoors, go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Why has J.D. Power ranked Commonwealth Financial Network #1 in independent advisor satisfaction among financial investment firms for the 6th straight time? We think it comes down to one thing: you. Because it's your input and feedback that keeps us focused on what's most important to you and your clients, and continually pushes us to be the best we can be. Maybe that's why we receive top marks in every category of the J.D. Power 2019 Advisor Satisfaction Survey. They named us #1 in client support, #1 in firm leadership, #1 in operational support, #1 in compensation, #1 in professional development support, and #1 in technology support. Ready to partner with the best? Call Commonwealth at 866-462-3638 or visit commonwealth.com and feel the power. Member FINRA, a registered investment advisor. For 2019 J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
The Norwegian sale is now on. Fly to Europe from £29.90, North America from £134.90, or South America from £189.90. And with low fares to over 150 other destinations, the world has never been closer. Start your journey at Norwegian.com. All fares are one way from London Gatwick. Baggage fees apply. Travel periods vary by route. Visit our website for more details. Sale ends Monday.
Got big plans for 2020? Capture and share every highlight on a gorgeous iPhone 11 with an ultra-wide camera. In Tesco Mobile's big January sale, you can get the latest iPhone for £40.75 a month with double data. That's a mighty 20 gigs. Go in store or search Tesco Mobile. Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Ends 26th of January. Was 10 gigs, now 20 gigs. 36-month credit and rolling monthly usage agreements with Tesco Mobile required. Subject to status. Phase policy applies. See tescomobile.com/terms.
Hey, NFL fan, can't watch the game? Can't be there? No biggie. With your TuneIn Premium membership, you already have an all-access pass to every team and every game in the league. Amazing, right?
Steps up, floats it towards, at the goal line, it's intercepted!
Listen live as the action unfolds, or on demand when you can. Anytime, anywhere, all season long.
Right side, it is caught, it is in for the right side for the touchdown.
Search NFL today.
Want to know a quick, easy way to see if your favorite podcasts have a new episode available? Just go to the home screen on your TuneIn app and see the latest editions under the Your New Episode section. Happy listening.
Want to hear about the latest and greatest things to listen to on TuneIn? For reminders of the biggest live sports games, debates, and breaking news stories, follow @TuneIn on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay connected with the audio that matters to you.
Down the middle of the 10, got to the 5, tumbles in, touchdown!
TuneIn has your NFL playoffs live all weekend. So when you're running to the store or stuck in traffic, TuneIn has you covered.
He's taking contact, and he got it in! Touchdown! Puts his head down, crashes and spins, and dives, touchdown!
Search NFL and get prepared for the action.
Touchdown!
Connecting decision makers to a network of news and financial information 24 hours a day. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. This is Bloomberg Radio. Now, a global news update.
We've learned this morning there were some injuries to U.S. service personnel in Iraq last week. Correspondent Ryan Brown.
The U.S. military revealing that 11 U.S. military personnel were injured during that Iranian missile attack on Al-Assad Air Base in western Iraq. Reports of concussions, potential traumatic brain injury.
The U.S.-led coalition in Iraq says the service members are all being monitored at facilities in Germany and Kuwait and will return to Iraq if they get clean bills of health. Ukraine's prime minister says he has submitted his resignation days after he was caught on tape saying the country's president, Volodymyr Zelensky, knows nothing about the economy. It's uncertain if Zelensky will accept the resignation. A guns rights group has turned to the Virginia Supreme Court to block a ban on firearms at a rally at the state capitol on Monday. Governor Ralph Northam referred to what he called credible threats of violence in announcing the ban. Stock futures are showing gains following yesterday's higher closing on Wall Street. I'm Michael Toscano.
Why all the top-tier experts? Because business is not a magic trick.
Give us a sense of the economic backdrop.
Bloomberg Markets.
Which financial records are these?
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on Bloomberg Radio. Bloomberg, the world is listening. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm Karen Moscow. 647 on Wall Street, and futures are higher this morning. We go to the First Word breaking news desk for today's morning call. Here's Bill Maloney. Bill, good morning.
And good morning, Karen. That's right. U.S. futures are climbing right now, with Dow futures up 80 points. S&P's gain 8, while the Nasdaq futures rise by 835. The U.S. 10-year yield at 1.81%. Gold is trading higher by 4. And Shanghai was a little changed overnight, while European markets are also trading higher, led by 1% gains in Spain. Back in the U.S. on the economic front at 8:30, housing starts and a 10 o'clock Michigan sentiment. After the bell last night, rail CSX revenue missed estimates. And regarding earnings this morning, look for Schlumberger, State Street, and Kansas City Southern to report before the open. In other news, Morgan Stanley boosted Apple's price target to $368 a share. And wrapping things up, IBM was cut to equal weight at Morgan Stanley. Adobe raised to outperform at Oppenheimer. Twitter cut to neutral at UBS. And eBay was cut to underweight over at Wells Fargo. Live from the First Breaking News Desk, I'm Bill Maloney. Karen?
Hey, Bill, thank you. To hear live breaking news over your Bloomberg, type Squawk on your terminal, SQUAWK, and that's a Bloomberg Business Flash. Now here's Michael Barr with more on what's going on around the world. Michael.
Karen, the impeachment trial of President Donald Trump is opened in the Senate. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi warned senators not to become all the president's henchmen. Trump derided the proceedings as a hoax. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said Iran had delivered a slap to the U.S.'s image as a superpower in this month's military confrontation, seeking to rally Iranians around an embattled establishment as he led Friday prayers in Tehran for the first time in 8 years. The Carlos Beltran era with the Mets ended before it even began. Beltran, who was caught up in MLB sign-stealing accusations, is out as the team's manager just as he was ready to start his first season with the Mets. He is the third manager to be fired in the scandal. In the NBA, the Knicks lost along with the Celtics and Warriors. In the NHL, the Rangers beat the Islanders. The Devils lost to the Capitals. The Bruins won. Finally, from daybreak on the Bloomberg, Elon Musk was asked how he would fix Twitter. His answer, identify the bot. Nathan, the Tesla CEO, told a room full of Twitter employees it would be helpful to differentiate between real and fake users.
Yeah, I suppose it would, but I think if they got rid of those bots, a lot of people would lose a lot of followers.
Well, then you've got people like me who have no clue and follow the Twitter and the Facebook, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Global news. 24 hours a day on the air and on Quick Take by Bloomberg, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg. What does this escape button do?
The Michael Barr. Thank you. We're live from the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers Studios, where it's just about 6:50 on Wall Street. Time now to check what's going on in D.C. Some of the top stories in our nation's capital include President Trump formally nominating a pair of Fed critics, Judy Shelton and Christopher Waller, to join the central bank after making the announcement months ago. The Treasury planning to issue 20-year bonds to help fund a rising deficit. And Secretaries Pompeo and Esper pushing South Korea for more troop funding. Wall Street Journal op-ed. Also making news this morning, the world's most deliberative body is about to turn into the world's most quiet jury chamber for President Trump's impeachment trial. Let's get more on this now from Bloomberg U.S. politics editor Kathleen Hunter. And I say quiet in the sense, Kate, that the senators won't be able to speak as the arguments get underway. Quite a change for what these senators are used to.
Absolutely. And, senators are not known for their, brevity of speech. In fact, the Senate's famous for the filibuster and senators talking nonstop. And so this is going to be quite a shift, something like which the chamber hasn't seen since 1998 with the impeachment of Bill Clinton. And so I think it's going to be a dramatic shift. Another thing is, often now in the age of C-SPAN, senators come to the floor and there's maybe one senator presiding over the chamber. And even though, the senators typically give speeches to an empty chamber. And so this is going to be not a lot of speeches and senators, but a full chamber with a bunch of senators sitting there. We don't often see all the senators sitting in their seats. Often when we see that, it's only when there's a high profile vote, much like, for instance, on the healthcare legislation back in 2008 on Christmas Eve, all the senators came in and sat at their seats and voted from their seats. But that's typically one of the only other occasions where we see this sort of thing.
And because we're going to have all the senators in their seats, it's already changing the way the presidential campaign is going, because 4 senators are running for president, and they're going to have to figure out how to work in campaigning with their constitutional duties.
Yeah, and it's hard having to tend to their day jobs. Typically when senators run for president, they don't come back very often. I'm thinking back to, again, in during the 2008 campaign, when Barack Obama and John McCain came back from the campaign trail during the financial crisis to, meet with members of the House and their colleagues in the Senate. So usually that doesn't happen. Usually the senators have some flexibility to go off and campaign. Ironically, in a way, even though Joe Biden's been very much at the center of some of the, this whole question of Ukraine and what sort of efforts the White House made and Trump made to try to force an investigation into Biden and his son. In a weird way, this could potentially benefit Biden because he will be free to campaign while a lot of his colleagues, as you point out, who happen to be senators, are going to have to be stuck in Washington.
And it comes at a very interesting time with this new Reuters Ipsos poll out this morning. It's a national poll that now shows Bernie Sanders tied exactly, not even within the statistical margin of error with Joe Biden as we head into the Iowa caucuses. But how could the impeachment trial potentially shake up the way this race goes forward here?
Yeah, I mean, we're heading into the final days before Iowa. We know that Biden has been trailing in Iowa in a lot of the polls. So, this could be a chance for him to spend more time there while his colleagues are stuck in Washington. However, it's in some ways, or in a lot of ways, the narrative of impeachment is not necessarily a positive one for him. So I think it'll be, because both he and his son have been accused, by the Trump administration of impropriety. And so I think that it shines kind of a difficult spotlight on Biden, but it also, these are not new allegations at this point, and he is going to have some flexibility to campaign that his colleagues won't or his rivals won't. So I think that it's a dynamic that bears watching. It's a little too early really to say how it's going to shake out or if it's going to have any effect at all.
Now we're heading into a long holiday weekend here before the trial itself starts in the Senate on Tuesday. What are we expecting to happen between now and then, given all the revelations we've seen just in the last couple of days in terms of what could be argued in this impeachment trial of President Trump?
Well, I think the revelations we've heard over the last several days have really added fuel to Democrats' fire or helped renew their fire over arguing that they should be allowed to call witnesses, or that witnesses should be called and documents should be entered into evidence. The position of McConnell and the Republicans has been that they won't have a vote on whether to do that until after both sides present their arguments. And Republicans, typically, with perhaps some exceptions, I think there's about 3 Republicans, Lisa Murkowski, Mitt Romney, and Susan Collins of Maine, who bear watching, who have indicated they could be open to siding with Democrats to support witnesses. But I think that, I think it bears watching those three Republicans in particular very closely to see if there's any movement from them based on these most recent revelations towards supporting calling witnesses.
Yeah, we're hearing from Lev Parnas, the associate of Rudy Giuliani, who's facing federal charges, as well as this new GAO report that says the law was broken when the White House held on to Ukraine aid. How could some of that play into the impeachment trial?
Well, again, I think that is, I think the question is, does it change the minds of the people who are going to matter, which is these 3 Republicans, perhaps other Republicans who could side with Democrats? I think otherwise, it certainly builds some pressure on them to perhaps consider siding with Democrats. They all represent, they're all moderate Republicans who, have a history of breaking ranks with their party. But I think for most Republicans, it's probably not going to change their mind. And for Democrats, it's just going to reinforce what they're already arguing. So really, we're just looking at a handful of Republican senators to see if it really influences them.
Heading toward a historic moment in Washington. And thank you, as always, Bloomberg U.S. Politics editor Kathleen Hunter. You can read more about the impeachment trial and everything that's happening in Washington at Bloomberg.com or on the Bloomberg terminal. Follow all the latest on Bloomberg Radio at Bloomberg 99.1 and 105.7 FM HD2 in the nation's capital. Karen?
Nathan, thank you. At 6:56 on Wall Street, time for the Bloomberg Green Report. Here's Bob Moon.
Democrats had plenty to say on climate change at their debate this past week.
If we do not get our act together together in terms of climate change, the planet will be increasingly unlivable.
I will roll back the environmental changes Donald Trump is putting in place.
I introduced the first climate change bill. I've been fighting this for a long time.
I would declare a state of emergency on day one on climate.
This is no longer theoretical. This is no longer off in the future.
2 days later, House Republicans held a closed-door strategy session on what they should be saying about the issue. Polling shows young Americans want politicians to tackle the problem, and party strategists have warned if Republicans don't address the issue, they could alienate an entire generation of voters. Lawmakers talked of advancing green innovation, carbon capture technology, and nuclear power. It remains to be seen what else can be said in a party with a standard bearer who is denied human factors behind the issue. Some Republicans fear the party has ceded the debate to Democrats. That's the Bloomberg Green Business Report. I'm Bob Moon.
All right, Bob, thank you. Earnings from Schlumberger, fourth quarter profit beating analyst estimates, revenue beat as well. Futures are higher with S&P futures up 8.5 points, Dow futures up 80, NASDAQ futures up 37, the DAX in Germany's up 0.7%. 10-year Treasury down 2/30 seconds, yield 1.81%, and the yield on the 2-year at 1.55%. The euro 1.1111 against the dollar. And Bloomberg surveillance is straight ahead with Tom Keene and Jonathan Farrow. For Nathan Hager, I'm Karen Moscow, and this is Bloomberg.
The Norwegian sale is now on. Fly to Europe from £29.90, North America from £134.90, or South America from £189.90. And with low fares to over 150 other destinations, the world has never been closer. Start your journey at Norwegian.com. All fares are one way from London Gatwick. Baggage fees apply. Travel periods vary by route. Visit our website for more details. Sale ends Monday.
Here at Tesco, we're celebrating over 100 years of great value with even more great prices that take you back. Like a 6-pack of apples from 69p to just 49p. All this week at Tesco.
Selected larger stores subject to availability. Offer ends 20th of January.
Chilly January days in London are tough enough without a broken boiler. Keep your home warm and working this winter with 2 years interest-free credit and your boiler installed by one of our expert engineers. Plus, you'll get a 5-year British Gas warranty. And we can even quote by video call after work or on weekends. Get a quote by the 29th of February, and you can also get £200 off a new boiler, or £400 off for our existing home care customers. Search British Gas New Boiler. Conditions apply.
So can you make a call given the data?
Which segments of Alphabet's business are most likely to come under scrutiny?
Get all the pieces.
They're getting mixed signals from governments.
He's failed to gain traction.
Bloomberg Radio, the Bloomberg Business Radio.com and iHeartRadio apps, and BloombergRadio.com. Bloomberg, the world is listening. From the financial capital of the world, 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is Bloomberg Radio. This is Bloomberg Surveillance Economics.
I think the U.S. is going in for a couple of years of very, very strong growth.
The deficit by early in the next decade will start to become a real problem for the markets.
Finance.
The consumer is really strong right now.
We don't realize how good times are now.
Investment.
The biggest problem that people have in investing in stocks is that they get out of the market.
It's not supposed to be easy. Anyone who finds it easy is stupid.
Bloomberg Surveillance with Tom Keene and Jonathan Farrow on Bloomberg Radio.
From New York City for our audience worldwide, good morning. This is Bloomberg Surveillance. Coming up on the program, stocks closing out the week with another series of all-time highs as big tech rallies, Alphabet joining America's $1 trillion club. And with global economic data stabilizing, China showing some signs of strength. From the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers Studio on tour today, hello Friday from Invesco. Let's get you up to speed on the price action this Friday morning. All-time highs at a close yesterday. We add some weight to it again this Friday morning. The S&P 500 up 8 points. We are positive a quarter of a 1%. In the bond market, a stage set as follows for you. Treasuries coming in around about a basis point, up a basis point to 181 on a US 10-year. And to give you a feel of foreign exchange this morning across G10, the dollar showing a little bit of strength. Euro dollar coming in, Tom Keene, by about 0.2%.
Yeah, you're coming in. It's a Friday, and it's a Friday to readjust. What a 15 days. What a 2 full business weeks of January. I can say it's unprecedented. We've got good conversation. Julian Emmanuel to come up here in a moment. And you wonder here in the studios of Invesco in their worldwide platform, what do you do if you're retail, if you're like me and you're in the triple leveraged all cash low beta fund?
Yeah.
What if you do if you're an institutional portfolio and you've made your single digit 2020 return in 2 weeks?
So you joke on both of those points. I actually think the first point is quite compelling and quite interesting. If you miss this rally, if you missed this rally over the last 12 months, what's the one valuation metric right now that encourages you to get in? What is it right now?
Sweat, desperation, angst, remorse. Good morning to the legacy of Daniel Kahneman down in Princeton. John, absolutely extraordinary equity markets, and I'm listening to every rationalization along the way. I would predict we'll have a massive set of gloom, blogs, newsletters, whatever pieces starting this Friday and into the weekend.
I imagine we'll always get those. Let's just go through it point by point at the moment. Earnings so far so good. The data in the United States holding up. The data abroad slowly stabilizing. No sign of a hawkish policy shift from, say, the Federal Reserve at this moment. How far are we willing to push valuations, Tom? That seems to be the big question for me at the moment before seeing concrete signs that earnings are starting to pick up again.
The Fed has a path. Robert Kaplan of Dallas with Michael McKee earlier in the week, and I guess the path is we're going to know nothing until January 29th. So what do? Rally it to January 28th and then wait and hang on every word of Chairman Powell?
Got no idea. I do think that the Fed, though, is very much in focus, not on rates, but on the balance sheet. There's a big debate as to what is going on there as that balance sheet expands. And as I ask people in fixed income, the biggest challenge this year, if there's a catalyst on the horizon that you think can disrupt this risk rally, what is it? They turn around to me continuously and say, when the Fed has to back away from this balance sheet expansion, that's when things could get a little bit disrupted down the road.
Can they manage that? And the answer is we don't know. It's not in the financial textbooks. It's not in the economic textbook. And by adjusting the balance sheet or the messaging, the signaling of the balance sheet, is it at the margin? Is it one little word in a press conference?
One policymaker so far out already, Dallas Fed President Robert Kaplan, speaking to Bloomberg's Michael McKee this week, raising the issue of the balance sheet, and in his view, a sentiment issue that is starting to bleed through to risk assets. And I just wonder whether that's going to come on the radar in a bigger way. Their answer to us is that this is not QE. This is not QE, and many people come on this program and confirm that this is not QE. But some people are drawing a line from that balance sheet operation to the rally and risk.
I'm looking at correlated safe havens, and you've got yen 110.15. We have a weaker yen, a stable and weaker yen through the week. I mean, let's bring in a gentleman. Jen, I want you to jump it off here with Julian Emmanuel of BTIG, and I will only say that he's one of the few that has steadfastly participated in this great bull market by writing thoughtful pieces. He's not just going, own stocks, go, go, go. He's really tried to construct a theory to stay in the market.
He started the year as one of the biggest equity market bulls on the street out of all the strategists we survey.
I didn't know that.
And I just wonder whether we've hit his price target already. Julian Emmanuel of BTIG joining us right now. Julian, great to have you with us. Just walk me through that. What do you say to clients after the rally we've already had to the start of the year?
Well, our theory has been that this could be a year where, first of all, the backdrop is 20+% years like we had in 2019 tend to be followed by positive years. That may be counterintuitive. The average gain is around sort of 12 to 14%. So from our point of view, in an environment where, as we've said numerous times, the public has not really fully engaged in the equity markets, you look at flows. Flows have been going into money market funds. Flows have been going into bond funds very consistently for the last 5 years. This could be the year where you get upside beyond our 34.50 price target based on the public actually becoming an active buyer of stocks. So our message is, it's been a very good 2 weeks. It's been a very good 4 months. Just stay patient. Don't be aggressive buyers into moves this far, this stretched, because you could have a pullback at any time. But just be patient.
Well, your message to retail now, Julian, let's talk about it. Tom and I started the program by discussing valuations. How much higher could they go? If you look at this market right now and you have a retail client sitting in front of you that's missed out on this rally of the last 12 months or so, and they ask you, what's the one valuation metric at the moment that you're looking at that says, green light, get back in?
Good old-fashioned price earnings. Okay, to us, at what we expect, sort of, you call it 18.5 to 19 times, it feels high, but if you look at the last 30 years of history, it's really only slightly above mid-range. And in a backdrop where we do expect long-end yields to gradually creep higher, that is not necessarily at all a headwind. And in fact, we would argue it's a tailwind because the absolute level of rates are low. And again, we do think there could be this psychology shift to the extent that you start poking above 2% in the 10-year yield in the U.S. and zero, above zero in the German 10-year yield, that the psychology becomes even more proactive.
Well, Julian, I want to pick you up on the forward multiple. If you take the 30-year history as an example, isn't that skewed by the excesses of 2000, by 06, by 07 as well? If you look at the last 10 years in this bull market, 18.5 times forward earnings is the upper range of valuations, isn't it?
Based on the last 10 years. But again, I think for us, we've looked at it sort of Cold War, essentially the 30 years prior to 1989, and post-Cold War. And you can sort of best fit the data, but from our point of view, sort of 1989 onwards really represents the time when the embracing of equity investing is something that's permeated popular culture and permeated the average person's portfolio. That sort of justifies where we're thinking.
You're just joining us now. Julian Emanuel with us, BTIG. He's in the Interactive Broker Studios at our world headquarters, Lexington and 59th. John Farrow and I ensconced, I say, at Invesco, our annual visit to the good offices of Invesco here in a vibrant downtown Manhattan, lower Manhattan. We're thrilled you're with us, coast to coast and worldwide as well. Julian, I want to go back to March of 1999. This is a few years ago. And in Barron's, Tom Gelvin, the legend of DLJ, talking about price to sales. I love the article, Dow 16,000, question mark. I mean, explain the punditry of the market and the strategy of the market versus just being in the market and participating. In 1999, what is that, 20? I can't keep track. 21 years ago? Wow. 21 years ago, Dow 16,000 question mark. Thank you.
Done.
And Gelvin nails it by saying, you extrapolate out, they're going to get to 16,000 by 2006 with bond yields below 6%. Absolutely nailed the call. Should we just throw all this away, Julian, and just own stocks for the long term?
Well, we will go with that tried and true saying, it is never different this time. And part of what we're looking at is if we do get to a point of, real public enthusiasm, sort of, that irrational exuberance that clearly we saw at the end of 1999 and the beginning of 2000, and you'll know if there is significant multiple attention, that would be a caution sign to us.
Okay, what's a BTIG exuberance meter this morning? I mean, is he irrational out there, or are we rationally bullish?
So in the short term, there's definitely a little bit of froth, but when we look at the medium and the long term, what's fascinating to us is the options market is actually telling you that the degree of caution, particularly over the election term, is very, very high.
This is really important, what you just heard from Julian Emanuel there. Thank you so much. Julian Emanuel with BTIG to get
Julian,
us
thank you.
going. I've lost on the screen here. I can't see it through the plates of avocado toast.
What would you like to see?
I lost there we are. Futures up 8, Dow futures up 75. Let us go to the news at our world headquarters. Here's Michael Barr.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, John. The impeachment trial of President Trump is opened in the Senate. The senators stood yesterday and swore an oath of impartial justice as jurors for the historic proceedings. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says he is hopeful witnesses will be allowed to testify during the trial.
The witnesses we've asked for are not witnesses that are our pals. They're Trump appointees. They work for Trump. We think those are the eyewitness. They are the people who saw, wrote, emailed exactly what happened.
Meanwhile, Republican Senator Ted Cruz says Trump will be acquitted in the Senate.
You're going to see Democrats and you're going to see a lot of folks in the media clutching their pearls and saying there's a new smoking gun. I don't think that's the way you conduct a trial. That's not the way you comply with the constitutional standards for impeachment.
Cruz is referring to recently indicted Rudy Giuliani associate Lev Parnas, saying President Trump and Giuliani were fully aware of activities in Ukraine. Parnas, in more accusations, says that then Energy Secretary Rick Perry told Ukraine's president that he had to announce an investigation into former Vice President Joe Biden. Iran Supreme Leader said last week's missile attack on U.S. troops was a blow to America's image as a global power. Ayatollah Khomeini made the comments during today's prayers in Tehran. The Carlos Beltran era with the New York Mets ended before it even began. Beltran, who was caught up in the sign-stealing accusations, is out as the team's manager before the start of his first season with the Mets. He is the third manager to be fired in the scandal. Global news, 24 hours a day, on air and on Quick Take by Bloomberg, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg. John, Tom?
Michael Barr, thanks so much. Futures up 8, Dow futures up 78. Interesting Friday tape, and the absolute underlying on the tape, John, is the equity market. You come in and you hope you see red on the screen, and we don't. There's just a bid,
Another lift
to the market.
Up a quarter of 1% of the S&P 500. I just heard the strangest coffee order I think I've possibly ever heard. You have a black coffee and then ask to add hot water.
Well, they're making this fancy Euro coffee like what you drink in Europe. I just want like a Senka.
Diluted.
I want a Senka. You don't know what Senka is.
No, you've told me what Senka is before.
It was a fine
beverage. So are you saying that American coffee is Italian coffee diluted?
Yes, I would say basically that it's a gentler coffee.
A gentler coffee.
It's a more medium roast.
I've never heard of that order before.
Yeah.
Do you order that in Starbucks?
No, I don't. I don't go into Starbucks. Starbucks is too chary.
Chari?
Chari, yeah.
Is that an endorsement of somewhere else?
Good morning, 106.1 FM Boston. Let me make this clear.
Sure, please do. We'd all love you to clear this up.
Dunkin'
Donut coffee, you like that?
It's just.
You go there for the donuts or for the coffee?
We do both there. We go for both.
Is that what you do every morning? Just want some insight into your routine because sometimes I miss this and it's nice to get a bit of exposure as we go on tour.
A lighter breakfast is my routine.
Okay, nice.
Is well. John Farrow and Tom Keene rumored to be on speaking terms in Davos. We'll do that next week. The meetings of the World Economic Forum meet them. Seriously, folks, we're going to have wonderful conversations with leading American bankers. Stay with us from the offices of Invesco. This is Bloomberg.
Asset managers who seize change to launch new strategies, add distribution channels, or exploit new technology to re-engineer the investor experience are often rewarded. However, in an industry paralyzed with complexity, few act with agility or decisively. Few run their businesses strategically, yet the most competitive managers in the market know with the right partner and a flexible operating system, you can. Go boldly toward change with SEI Investment Manager Services.
I'm Steve Meyer, President of SEI's Investment Manager Services. At SEI, we understand the emerging forces that will define success for asset managers and what firms will need to compete tomorrow. That's why we continually optimize
The birthday cake didn't arrive in time. The centerpieces never made it to the wedding. And by the time the brass band got to their concert, everyone had left. Breakdowns are rubbish, especially when you run a business. So when we make vans at Volkswagen, we make them as reliable as possible, which is why we've just won Most Reliable Van Maker at the Fleet News FN50 Awards. Volkswagen Commercial Vehicles, working with you. Visit Fleet News for full award criteria.
Take the helm and ignite your spirit of adventure with a Sunsail holiday. Relax on a skippered yacht from sunny St. Lucia to the nutmeg-scented shores of Grenada. Or take charge with a bareboat charter along Dubrovnik's glittering coastline. With up to 20% off selected destinations, now is the time to book your Sunsail adventure. Sunsail. See the world differently.
Whatever job you're searching for, you can find it on LinkedIn. Banking jobs, building jobs, extra hour in bed jobs, Waterloo jobs, Canary Wharf jobs. New year, new you, new job, jobs. First jobs, flexible jobs, pay off the Christmas debt jobs, advertising jobs, accounting jobs, HR, PR, even ER jobs. Small jobs, big jobs, work from home in your PJs jobs. Or even voiceover jobs, which is how I ended up recording this ad. Search millions of jobs on LinkedIn and find one meant for you.
I used to be a bit of a rubbish sleeper. I'd toss and turn all night, and somehow I could never find the comfy bit of the mattress. It was a proper nightmare. That's what brought me here, testing mattresses in the Which Test Lab. We use a custom-made barrel rolling machine to simulate a decade's worth of use. And the mattresses that perform best are the only ones we recommend for your bedroom.
Which tests harder so you can buy smarter. Visit which.co.uk.
Do you go on the same holiday every year? To the same country, in the same hotel, with the same sea view, visit the same ancient monuments, lay by the same dolphin-shaped pool, meet the same Barrys and Sandras, and wear the same Hawaiian shirt that you'd never wear at home? Then maybe it's time to switch it up, starting with the all-new Vauxhall Corsa, with its bold styling and up to 70 miles per gallon. To switch it up, visit your local Vauxhall dealership or search New Corsa. Official WLTP test figures for comparison purposes only. Real-world figures may vary.
Welcome back. Recapping our breaking news from earlier this hour. David Tepper speaking out on the markets, telling me, I love riding a horse that's running, and we have been long and continue that way. He then said, at some point, the market will get to a level that I will slow down that horse and eventually get off. And I said, what would give you an indication of that? And how long do you think? And he goes, he told me I'd be the first to know after his wife and his mother. So,
think he was serious?
No, probably not. Probably not. But as we pointed out, 10 years ago, he was very bullish and said buy with both hands, and it's turned into that was a pretty good call at the time, you would say. What else was I was going to just make the point that, I mean, I do it all the time and I get grief for it, but what has been the mantra of the sell-side schmoes that we have on day in and day out for the past 3 months?
A single, mid to high single-digit.
Not just that, but a lot of, this has just come too far too fast. It's very muted. So here's a guy that has made $2 billion in a year and who doesn't need to come on here and rarely does, but actually on the buy side and has skin in the game instead of trying to keep a job at a brokerage firm where you really can't really say anything because it may go up, it may go down, or it may stay the same. I will tell you, and I'll tease this up, Stan Druckenmiller, I don't know if anyone's ever been better at managing money. About a year ago or two, he said, I don't have any intestinal fortitude that I used to have. It's more, for me now, it's more about conserving capital. But the one guy who has the biggest intestines at this point is Tepper. And that's the guy that I listened to this morning. So I asked Stan, And he doesn't want to. He never wants to weigh in, really. But he did. And when I'm going to talk about that, we'll get a little board built. He said, if you...
No, don't say it.
He said, you may use it if you must.
Right. Okay.
So I'm like dragging it. I'm dragging it out of it.
But we need the chart for it.
And I don't know if you want me to caveat his comments. Just so
it could be the half-life of saying I'm riding this horse could be till 3 p.m. today.
That, and the other thing is, just so the viewer doesn't think that David Tepper decided today was the day that he was making some major market.
No, he was talking about the Carolina Panthers.
He texted us
about the Carolina
Panthers.
Panthers.
About him, and it was sort of happened in the moment, as opposed to
as long as
coming on TV today to tell the world, get on the horse. And I just think it's
important to put it in context. That we were talking about, and I asked what happened to your love for the Steelers, and he said it's like I was born in Pittsburgh. That's like my mom, but my wife is the Carolina Panthers, and we all know how happy.
Better that way. He didn't intentionally come on to say,
no,
here's what I think people should be doing.
But I've tried
as a matter of fact in other conversations.
Right, this is just what I'm thinking.
He grudgingly, after I asked him, but as long as we're going back and forth, I might as well see what he thinks of this crazy market, which is now up almost 100 points.
That's right. There are a number of analyst calls this morning as well. They all have a common theme, and that's technology. Dom Chu joins us right now with some of the notable names. Hey, Dom.
All right. So, Becky, let's talk about some of those sell-side folks that Joe Kernan was just talking about. We got 3 tech stocks on the move this morning because of analyst calls. First up, you've got shares of Apple, which are up about 0.5% in the pre-market trade, roughly around 300,000 shares of volume. The iPhone maker and app services company sits near record highs. Today, it gets a target price hike to $368 a share. It was $296 over at Morgan Stanley. They kept the overweight rating. They are updating their estimates due to new assumptions on the upcoming smartphone upgrade cycle around next-gen or 5G wireless. They're also looking at that shifting revenue and profit mix away from phones, more towards services and wearables. So those Apple shares catching a bit of a bid. We'll see if they can make record highs today. They're close. Speaking of wireless, shares of Qualcomm, you can see here, up over 1.1% at this point on roughly 50,000 shares of pre-market volume. The computer and wireless chip maker being helped along by analysts at Citi, who've upgraded that stock to a buy from a prior neutral. The target price here goes to $108 per share. It was $89 before. They cited, yes, the ramp up to 5G wireless technology, which could lead to higher average selling prices and higher royalty revenues for all of its intellectual property in 5G wireless. So we're watching Qualcomm as well. And we'll end on shares of eBay, which are lower, you can see here, by just about 1%. Roughly 20,000 shares or so pre-market volume. The online marketplace and auction sites gets downgraded by analysts at Wells Fargo to underweight from equal weight. The target price goes down to $32 per share. It was at a prior $45. They cited, among other things, headwinds to its core marketplace business with the rollout of internet sales taxes, also increased competition from online, multi-channel retail, as well as the re-commerce or used goods portals like Poshmark and The RealReal. So, Andrew, those shares on the move as well. I'll send things back over to you.
Thank you for that. We're going to continue to talk about tech right now. Joining us right now is Tim Lesko. He is Granite Investment Advisors partner. We talked about it earlier. $5 trillion is the market cap combined of the top 5 tech companies in America today. What do you make of that? And are you in the David Tepper jump on the horse while it's running camp?
Well, first I'll say that I'm glad I'm on the buy side and not on the sell side today. And I would add that the market capitalization doesn't really change our investment thesis on any of them. I think you're starting to see investors look at technology differently. It's no longer the hyper-cyclical business that people got burned at in the early 2000s. It's now a consumer staple for the most part. So it can enjoy much higher valuations and much more stable revenue streams. So we're still pretty bullish on tech.
And how concerned, though, should we be about just how big a valuation that represents, even in the S&P 500, in terms of day-to-day market swings? You know, this is driving so very much of it.
Right, and I think that's probably the largest concern is the amount that they make up of the indices. And if the indices move, or if we begin to see rough economic roads ahead and people make a decision to get out of the markets, they will get out of the markets more largely in the largest companies. So the thing that is bringing them up, because they're such a large part of the indices, can also bring them down. So that'll be a concern, but hard to see that right now.
Final question, if you could only buy one, which one?
If I could only buy one, I think I would own Apple still. It would be Apple, easily.
Apple's still it. Okay. Hey, Tim, thank you for joining us this morning. Appreciate it. We got a lot more coming up on Squawk when we come back. What to watch ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street. Futures pointing to a higher open on this Friday morning. Dow looks like it would open up about 105 points higher. NASDAQ up about 41 points. S&P 500 up about 11 points. And we should say this is, as the Dow closing, its best week since August. As we head to a break, a reminder, you can always watch us live on the go on the CNBC app. If you have to head to work, you can do it right now. We're back in just a minute.
Whatever job you're searching for, you can find it on LinkedIn. Banking jobs, building jobs, extra hour in bed jobs, Waterloo jobs, Canary Wharf jobs. New year, new you, new job, jobs. First jobs, flexible jobs, pay off the Christmas debt jobs, advertising jobs, accounting jobs, HR, PR, even ER jobs, small jobs, big jobs, work from home in your PJs jobs, or even voiceover jobs, which is how I ended up recording this ad. Search millions of jobs on LinkedIn and find one meant for you.
Hello, I'm your captain for today's Virgin Atlantic flight. Please drop everything and pay close attention to the following announcement. The sail is now on. Our crew are ready to take your bags and stresses away. The cocktails are ready to serve, the movies are loaded, and we're all set for takeoff to the Caribbean. So, take your seat in our award-winning economy class. We're ready to go when you are.
The Virgin Atlantic sail. Fly amazing for less. For more details, visit virginatlantic.com.
Do you do the same thing every weekend? You know, meet up with the same friends for brunch, browse around the same shops, eat the same Saturday night takeaway. Mine's a lamb balti with mushroom pilau rice. Snuggle up next to the same person and watch the same brain-numbing reality TV. Then maybe it's time to switch it up. Starting with the all-new Vauxhall Corsa, with its bold styling and up to 70 miles per gallon. To switch it up, visit your local Vauxhall dealership or search New Corsa. Official WLTP test figures for comparison purposes only. Real-world figures may vary.
You don't just live in one room, so why should you Wi-Fi? With Sky Broadband's Wi-Fi guarantee, you'll get Wi-Fi in every room or money back. Perfect for food shopping in the bedroom, gaming in your PJs in the lounge, or streaming sci-fi movies in the kitchen. Get Sky's super-fast broadband and Wi-Fi guarantee. £32 a month for 18 months with $19.95 setup. Click on the banner now.
Sky Fibre errors, Sky Kit required. Refund on boost component of subscription paid during current minimum term up to date of claim. Minimum 3 megabits per second or money back. Prices may change during minimum term. See sky.com/guarantee.
Right now, instead of hearing this, you could be listening to the music that keeps you moving with TuneIn Premium. Find today's biggest songs and all of your favorites commercial-free. Visit tunein.com/premium to upgrade.
NFL Conference Championship Weekend is live on TuneIn, starting Sunday at 3:05 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss the Tennessee Titans and the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship.
Gets to the goal line, in for the touchdown!
Then, starting at 6:40 p.m. Eastern, hear the Green Bay Packers and San Francisco 49ers clash for the NFC crown.
Shotgun snap, hand off to Jones, knifes in over the left guard, touchdown!
At home or on the go, don't miss a second of playoff action with TuneIn Premium. Search Premium to upgrade.
Welcome back. We're up almost 100 points now. We've been talking about David Tepper speaking out on the markets, telling me it was serendipitous that we were talking about the Carolina Panthers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I said, what's your market? How are you feeling about it? And he basically quickly said, I love riding a horse that's running. I said, what the hell does that mean? Is that the Carolina Panthers you're talking about or the Steelers? And he goes, no, we've been long the market and continue that way. He said, we should put in a qualifier, though. At some point, the market will get to a level where that I will slow down that horse and eventually get off. So Tepper has been the subject of really positive comments from someone that maybe the best ever in the business, Stan Druckenmiller. So I asked him about Tepper and his comments, and Stan doesn't like to opine lightly very often, and I appreciate that he did this today, but he said, of the current market, I revealed a very bullish posture, intermediate term, in an interview on December 13th, since October, when Powell guaranteed that he would not rescind the insurance cuts unless inflation was persistently above target. In other words, would not change even if trade and Brexit worked out. Since then, both have worked out, and the Fed is still whining about inflation being below target. In addition, Trump's election prospects have increased with 2 trade agreements and a big win in Iran. which the Democrats have responded poorly to. So, in his words, I am still riding the horse as well and bullish intermediate term.
All right, so Druckenmiller and Tepper are both following the momentum on this and think that up is where the market is headed at this point.
In a nutshell, I think
significant.
Yes. And like I said, with Tepper's call, when you put in the qualifier that I could slow this horse down,
that's the thing.
you know, they could be hours, days, or weeks. I mean, I don't know how long.
But probably important to say, too, that neither one of these two gentlemen woke up this morning thinking
No,
they
neither
were
one
going to
did.
be advising or advertising what their position is. You
And-
happen to be in
and-
conversation with them, and this is what you glean
Stan
from
didn't
those
want to.
conversations.
Didn't want to do. I mean, I appreciate it, but he said, if you must, here.
But just for people who think, oh, they're manipulating us and they're going to tell this so they can sell, that was not the intent either of them woke up with. They just tell you what they actually think about the market.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. And you know what? You have to worry about saying something on a global financial, and that's what sell-side people were. These guys have so much skin in the game. They got much bigger problems about whether they say something on CNBC that doesn't, because they have. That's why the buy side is so much. That's why even predicting. All right. Anyway, joining us now, Sharmeen Mosavar Rahmani, Goldman Sachs Chief Investment Officer of Private Wealth Management. What do you think? I mean, are you similar thinking, or do you need to manage risk in a way that it's more front and center, and there's been big gains already?
We've actually had the theme of staying invested now for over 10 years. So when we started during the global financial crisis recommending our clients actually go overweight, we have never since suggested clients actually reduce their exposure. So let's start with the premise that clients have a good customized strategic asset allocation, the right mix between stocks and bonds and other assets. We have actually never once recommended clients go underweight. So we have actually been long equities this entire nearly 11 years, up 500%. In addition, we've also recommended clients have a much bigger allocation to U.S. equities. So the theme of stay invested, but also the theme of American preeminence. We've said relative to both developed have a much bigger allocation actually to U.S. equities and be underweight emerging market and other developed equity markets.
Once everyone has this opinion, now, is there a time when you say, okay, we've ridden the horse long enough, or do you know whether we're getting close to that at this point, to use Tepper's?
There are two factors that we focus on, one of which is if we're in an expansion, the odds of a positive return is 87%. So one definitely has a huge tailwind in terms of the current economic environment, and we have a low probability of recession. So that would encourage us to continue to stay invested. The American preeminence theme, we also think, is a long-lived factor. It's not something that's going to disappear, whether it's competitiveness, productivity, innovation, rule of law. We can go through labor productivity. There are just so many factors, demographics. So we think these two themes have staying power. That's actually the title of our outlook, which is on our website, Room to Grow. So we actually, again, believe that there's more running to go, to use their expression of this horse. We also don't think equities are very expensive. They are slightly overvalued. By our metrics, they're overvalued by about 13%. That's not enough to start going underweight equities. And we're also very sensitive to taxes for our clients. If you had $1 invested at the trough of the equity market and you had not sold that, the equity market has to go down, if you're a New York City resident, for example, 29% just to make up for the taxes. So I think the idea of trying to get in and out of the market for short-term trading is not beneficial because the tax drag is going to be huge.
Right.
So economic expansion, and we have to see much higher valuations to actually recommend getting out of the market.
Thank you. Thank you for I feel like we've heard a lot of the day, and that's another good one. Thank you, Sherman. We'll have more Squawk Box straight ahead.
Do you have... Take the helm and ignite your skipper with a sun sail holiday. Relax on a skippered yacht from sunny St. Lucia to the nutmeg-scented shores shores of Grenada, or take charge with a bareboat charter along Dubrovnik's glittering coastline. With up to 20% off selected destinations, now is the time to book your Sunsail adventure. Sunsail. See the world differently.
Whatever job you're searching for, you can find it on LinkedIn. Banking jobs, building jobs, extra hour in bed jobs, Waterloo jobs, Canary Wharf jobs. New year, new you, new job, jobs. First jobs, flexible jobs, pay off the Christmas debt jobs, advertising jobs, accounting jobs, HR, PR, even ER jobs, small jobs, big jobs, work from home in your PJs jobs, or even voiceover jobs, which is how I ended up recording this ad. Search millions of jobs on LinkedIn and find one meant for you.
When it comes to music, I've heard it all. Pink Floyd, Sean Paul, Slipknot. But in the Witch Test Lab, hearing isn't enough. When we test headphones, we really listen. Not just to the music, but to the stuff that gets in the way. The traffic, the chatter, all that. Mind the gap. We simulate the loudest commute to find you the headphones that cancel out the noise. So you know we're only recommending the best.
Which tests harder so you can buy smarter. Visit which.co.uk.
You don't just live in one room, so why should your Wi-Fi? With Sky Broadband's Wi-Fi guarantee, you'll get Wi-Fi in every room or money back. Perfect for food shopping in the bedroom, gaming in your PJs in the lounge, or streaming sci-fi movies in the kitchen. Get Sky's super-fast broadband and Wi-Fi guarantee. £32 a month for 18 months with $19.95 setup. Click on the banner now.
Sky Fibre areas, Sky Kit required. Refund on boost component. Subscription paid during current minimum term up to date of claim. Minimum 3 megabits per second or money back. Prices may change during minimum term. See sky.com/guarantee.
Right now, instead of hearing this, you could be listening to the music that keeps you moving with TuneIn Premium. Find today's biggest songs and all of your favorites commercial-free. Visit TuneIn.com/premium to upgrade.
The NBA is on TuneIn Premium. Each week, TuneIn picks an NBA game you just can't miss. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and the Lakers are in Houston to take on James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and the Rockets.
LeBron, turn the corner! Slam dunk LeBron!
Harden steps left. He shoots for three, and that goes in.
This Saturday, the Los Angeles Lakers are at the Houston Rockets. Tip-off is at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Search NBA to follow your favorite NBA team today.
All right, next week we will be in Davos at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. We're going to have interviews with some of the biggest leaders in business, including Jamie Dimon, Jenny Rometty, Dalio, Brian Moynihan, Dara Khosrowshahi, David Solomon, and many, many more. Huge week for us. Great time for us to get to check in with lots of leaders in business. So we want to make sure you join us there too. We're ready for the cold.
I have some great outfits. Just
oh boy,
not for nothing. All planned out. Monday, Tuesday,
what
Wednesday.
Are you wearing? Anyway, join us next week. We will see you then. Right now it's time for Squawk on the Street.
What's your favorite color, baby?
Good Friday morning. Welcome to Squawk on the Street. I'm Carl Quintanilla with David Faber, Mike Santoli at the New York Stock Exchange. Kramer has the morning off. Futures get a bump this morning from both Tepper and Druckenmiller, who blessed this market's momentum, and that's helping us look past a host of downgrades today. Some weak reports out of the transports. Europe's rallying about 1%. Housing starts the best monthly print in over a decade, and 10-year 183. Our rope begins with the resilient rally. Stock set for another higher open as Wall Street looks to close out a record-setting week.
Plus, Peacock joins the streaming wars. We'll give you new details on how Comcast's forthcoming platform looks to separate itself from the streaming flock.
And joining the 4 Comma Club, Alphabet now with a market value of more than $1 trillion. Top 5 U.S. tech companies worth a staggering $5.2 trillion altogether, or more than 17% of the S&P 500.
All right, so stocks looking to hit some new record highs. We're getting some upbeat news on the economy as housing starts rise in December to their highest level since 2006, up 16.9. And just to put that into perspective, we were looking for an increase of just 0.4. And amazing statistics, Eva. And then, of course, the commentary from both Tepper and Druckenmiller over the past half hour has done a lot.
Yeah, it's all fed in the same direction. I think we're going to maybe pick apart if weather was a factor in the housing starts and all the rest. But that is when the equity futures took another leg higher, when those numbers were reported. It comes after we got some other good housing data this week. Yesterday, retail sales better than expected. It's just become very hard to decide that the headlines are going to get in the way of a market that's been on this autopilot higher. I just think that, the guys like David Tepper and Stan Druckenmiller, they know better than to get in the way of a market that seems to be working at a tape that's very, very refreshed every day by really strong credit markets and people feeling a little bit too cautious coming into the year. We're going to reach a limit to this. On every metric, the indexes are very stretched and sentiment is getting a little bit overexcited, but it's been very, very hard to pluck out that point to say, okay, it's done enough in the short term.
Heading into earnings season, of course, there was a never-ending chorus of people who come on our air talking about, well, earnings are going to be really important. They're going to have to justify these multiples. We've only gotten the financials for the most part. What's your sense at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I think people are essentially saying, oh, this reminds me of the last 3 quarters or so where expectations are super low.